guess it makes more sense if I do it like this. Okay, so what we got here is a Power Plus 1800. And my friend Curtis sent this in to me for a take a look at, but oh boy. This screams 1980s to me. Rawr. Okay, so initially it came in here because it had one pop pill. Well, let's talk about this for a second. So this is 14-1Q. Arguably the worst transistor that they ever made. I just had a big old bowl of chili, so excuse me. Man. Arguably the worst transistor they ever made. So I had a couple of them. I threw one in there, I replaced the little 10 ohm resistor, and the box took off. It took off, and about 800 watts of power, and I went boop. And I went, son of a bitch. Blew another pill. So I replaced that pill, and about 900 watts of power, and then boop, popped another pill. So this is a 2x8, right? So supposedly was at one point. That's the was at one point. 1 driving 2 driving 8. I don't know what they were planning on hitting it with. A little 1-watt radio or something. I don't know. Now, we're going to pull all these out. I talked with Curtis and I said, look, man, I can fix this. We'll make it run on video. And then what will happen is you'll get it. You'll key it about 5-6 times. And because they're shit, these transistors are garbage. Bloop, it'll keep blowing pills on you. I said, or we just pull all these out and put HGs in here. Now, that's easier said than done. Because we've got to change a bunch of different parts in here to make that happen, Captain. This whole output tuning circuit, it's got to go. The input was just a bare piece of wire that came from the relay over to here, but then it passed by these two Arco caps. Well, the previous person that was in here glued them with super glue. And it's all down in the Mylar fins and everything else, so we are going to struggle on. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull all these little 100 ohmers out, and which are good. They're 2 watts. They're 2-watt resistors. That's okay. It's all right. We're going to pop these out, and then we're going to pull the transistors out. And I'm not going to even bother testing them. I'm just going to set them aside because I'm not. We were paying $35 a piece for these, and they were worth about $5. So anyhow, we're just going to set them aside. I'm going to send them back to Curtis. I'm going to mark which one was bad, which is that one. Because remember, it popped this one, then that one, and then that one. So we'll mark it, and we'll come back to the next little segment of this thing, which is going to be us putting all new transistors in this thing again. Ooh. Anyhow, we shall return. Okay, Curtis, I don't want you to freak out. So don't freak out. I couldn't handle it anymore, dude. The more and more I stood there and looked at this mess, I went, man, I'm not doing the man justice. I'm just not going to be able to do you justice unless I start over. There's so much solder work here, dude, that is... we're just going to start over. So anyhow, I laid down a new piece of phenolic for you. I laid down your new HG2879 16-DO8 transistors. These are HGs at about $35 a piece, $30 a piece, or whatever these are. Brand new phenolic, clean and virginal. Okay, let's build you an amp. This is going to go quick. Well, we're done, Mr. Curtis. Now don't freak out, mister, because all I did was strip this board down. I took the output transformers off, the input transformers, and I used some of the wire that came off of this thing. I honestly believe this started out life as a worth more, even though it's called a Power Plus, and it was built, I'm assuming, there's a little 1 there, so 12/11 of 06. So here we are 11 years later, and I stripped this sucker down and turned it into this. I couldn't justify charging the man $300 or $400 to change the pills out in this thing, and then put it back in here, knowing that all the turns were wrong, and these capacitors were flip-flopping around in here loose, and there was just too much wrong here. And so I busted ass, and I spent about 7 hours on this yesterday straight. And I stripped it down all the way down to the heatsink, and drilled all new holes for the transistors, cut them out, a custom all copper Nuclide board for the amp, and then reused his output and input transformers. But I had to change all the turns and all the transformers all the way around. You see what I'm seeing? Oh, God, BBI. I will learn. Hold on a second. I got to take a turn out of this transformer. Give me just a second. Okay. Change number of turns the output in the secondary, or the output transformer on the 2-pill driver section. Let's see. The other thing I had happen is the fans quit. The wire that they'd snuck up through and buried in literally a mile of epoxy down here in the fin, broke. So I had to get in there with like a chisel and chisel the epoxy out and get back to where I could get to the wires. And I just went ahead and I replaced them with Teflon because they are passing through the heat sink. A little rubberized wire doesn't do too well when it's got heat directly applied to it. I used the relay, and then of course, Curtis, I used your same power wire. But this was a tight fit. I mean, a tight fit to cram all of this inside this heatsink. Now, Curtis, because there's no airflow across the top of the components on this side of the amplifier, you need to be very mindful of your temperatures. Now, you do have these two little fans in here on the bottom that are both working now. But do keep an eye on how hot this thing is getting. Okay? Please keep an eye on that. I built a completely different combiner network, abandoned the other one in spot on the other board, and put an variable output capacitance tube on it. So without much further ado, Curtis, you're done. This has been a complete rebuild for you. Literally board off. I took and sanded the heatsink. It'd been there's been 3 different iterations of transistors on this thing, and the board's been flipped around a couple times, and so that's the reason I staggered them this direction. So I went ahead and I sanded the top of the heatsink down, and then I went through and I polished underneath the transistors themselves. But these are 8 matched HG 2879 16-D08s that everybody's having a bunch of great luck with, and they're running really well. That's it. New keying transistor circuit, new on-off wires, new, all new everything. So we're off to the races and running. So it's real simple. We are going to run the 1000-watt slug. Let me put this down in 1X to show you input drive. 1000-watt slug in PEP, 1000-watt slug in average, 5-watt slug in reverse, 2950 with the 5-watt slug between the 2950 and, of course, the 2x8. Worth more power plus amp. It's probably going to have a BBI sticker on it probably by the end of the night. But anyhow, let's go. Audio. 20 whole watts of drive. Check this out, Curtis. It's gone. Put that in 2X. 1850 and some change. About 500 bird on this radio. Let's take a look at our input tune. Less than a half a watt. Your radio is going to love it. Now remember, this is set up for a 30 or 40 watt radio, Curtis. You don't want to go and jam something like this, a 955 or something like that, into it. Keep it in this realm of radio. 35, 40 watts. It's all you want to put into this thing for drive, my friend. but it has been completely rebuilt. And I mean rebuilt. We added capacitors on the relay, so we got a nice smooth 1.1 SWR going through, or less. It's like 1.5 or 1.05 pass through on the pass through tune. But this is modernized. This is absolutely modernized now, as best as we can get with what we had to work with on a budget. Curtis, I hope you enjoy it. I know it's going to a new home. I know you're going to have fun playing with it out in your shack. And I just want to say thanks. Gentlemen, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. And if this is your first time watching, I really would appreciate it if you click the subscribe button. All right, throw the lid on it. Curtis will get a shipping quote and it'll be on its way home to you tomorrow. I'll see you guys. Y'all have a fun night. This big mud duck is gone. I'll see you. Bye-bye.